figured it would be a quieter day today because most people are taking the day off, but in real estate, I don't really look at it that way. We work holidays no matter what. But at the end of the day, hopefully you guys had an amazing 4th of July. I'm not a fan of, yeah, I'll say it. I'm not a fan of neighborhood fireworks. The fireworks were going off until 11 o'clock, the boom, the boom. Okay, I get it. I just don't understand it. I like to go and watch the fireworks and come home, but we have neighborhood fireworks going off. They started at literally 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I just don't understand. But anyways, here we are. I'm going to have somebody take us out on the field on this beautiful Friday morning, which doesn't feel like a Friday, but I'm gonna go to Jeff. Jeff, I'm gonna go over to you. You always have good insights, good contributions. Let's go over to you, my man. What is your thoughts, sentiment to take us out on the field on this day of hangover? Let's go to you, Jeff.
Well, I agree with you. I was wondering like how many people were going to show up, but I think you got to show up every day. So even if it's going to be a lighter day, you got a few different things going on. I got a few things that I need to accomplish today. So I don't know, just be grateful for every opportunity that we have in order to better ourselves personally, professionally. And don't look for the shortcut or the way out, but showing up on days like today and doing things you need to get done, even if you're in Tahoe or if you're in Washington. Ashley and Marcelina, I love it to see your faces here. Just go out and do it. Enjoy yourself, have fun. Go work hard for 3 or 4 hours, and then do your stuff.
That's right. And at the end of the day, guys, we all have the ability to create our own schedule. And for me, it's a choice, right? I could have said, let's just cancel, keep it moving today. But I figured, let's just come together, let's talk, let's wrap, and let's have this conversation. And so what I did is I prepared an entire presentation, and I'll probably do this again when there's even more people on the call, but I'm going to run the same exact route as I would have if there was 50 plus people here. And here's the thing I want to share with you guys this morning. And I saw this, I don't know who posted it, but I saw it and I jacked it and I want to share with you. It says, you can make excuses or make progress, never both at the same time, right? And I feel that in our business is riddled with excuses. I'm sure you've heard friends, sure you've heard people in this industry that have excuses for all the reasons why they're not going to do something, and they're constantly making excuses. Like, I shut those people out. I don't even want to hear those people, because when you go back to everything that you want to do, your belief, your purpose, your cause, your crusade, your mission that you are on, at no point should anything stop you from moving forward, and you should make no excuses, because you're so driven. You're so compelled by everything that you want to accomplish in this world. And so I think excuses is just lack of clarity. That's all it is. If you have excuses, you just might not have clarity of what you're actually doing and what you actually want to achieve. So I saw that and I wanted to share that sentiment with you. But I had a couple things prepared, and I'm in this book right now. And I don't know if you've read this book or started this book, but I want you to, and I want to encourage you to read this book. And it's called The Power of Moments. The author is Chip Heath and Dan Heath. I was turned on to this book a few weeks ago, and I've really started to dive in. So I highly recommend that you put this in your rotation or put this into your listening rotation. What's great about the book is it helps you really identify, looking at defining moments in your career, in your life, and the things that we are doing, and really start to quantify those things and look at them differently. And I was reading, and it made me think of you guys this morning. Here's what I wanted to do, is I want to share some things with you, and I wanted to get your honest opinion before I get into my presentation. And I'm going to pull up some things. I have it on Google. All right, cool. So let's do this. Marcelina, let's go. Demian, let's go. Andrea, I want your guys' contribution. When you see this, yeah, it is a hotel. When you see the hotel in yellow on the right-hand side, like, what comes to mind? Does that feel luxurious? Does that feel like a high-end hotel? Let's go, Marcelina. Does that feel like North Star, where you're currently at?
No, it does not.
Okay. When you look at that, what does it feel like to you?
It feels like it needs a facelift.
Okay.
Uh,
All right, cool.
it,
Yeah. I
it
agree.
needs a
It
little
looks
bit of love.
looks like it needs a little bit of love. Okay, cool. And then let's just look at this here. Does the pool look like one of those really, really cool, prestigious pools like that you go and it's luxurious? Did it look like that when I started this? Does this pool out look really, really nice, Marcelina?
No.
All right, cool. So let's go back to this picture right here in the middle, and let's go Demian. Demian, what's this say? You're going to Southern California. Does this epitomize your Southern California vacation with the kids? Demian, that's you.
Yeah, no. I was trying to get my take. Not really.
No, not really. When you see this, what does it spark for you? Does this say luxury? Does this say, man, let's spend, a G a night to stay here? What do you see when you see this?
I see discount or on the run.
Okay, discount or on the run. Okay, I love this. I love this. Let's go over to Andrea. Same thing. All right, I'll just pull up this. Actually, I'm not going to pull up that because I'm going to wait for this. Let's just pull up here. You're on a family vacation, Southern California, Hollywood, like Hollywood, California, in the heart of Los Angeles. What does this say to you?
Oh, this feels very outdated, very much. Definitely, like someone said in the comments, low budget. I'm definitely like trying to get there and be there as cheap as possible. It really looks like a place that you wouldn't want to bring your kids to unless you really had to.
Okay. All right, cool. And I appreciate your guys' sentiment. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because if you could see here, I'm on TripAdvisor right now. This particular hotel has 3,733 reviews. It's labeled at a 4.5, so it is right at excellent. Some people labeled it like okay, but for most of the people that were surveyed, they surveyed this hotel at a 4.5, which is really, really incredible. And you can see their travel rating here, excellent and very good. So those were the top two categories. And so when you look at this, you say, there's really not much to this hotel. It looks a little bit dated. It actually is an old apartment building that was converted in the 1950s, and now is called the Magic Castle Hotel. But stay with me because there's a point to this entire message here. The Magic Castle Hotel is ranked one of 3 top-rated hotels in all of LA. Their ratings triumphed the Ritz-Carlton, they triumphed the Four Seasons, Marriott, Hilton, and some brands that we all identify with. But before we go any further, I want to get to Demian's hand because I don't want to get too far in this conversation yet. Demian, you got a hand up.
I don't want to spoil your point, but now I know exactly what hotel that is, and the pictures were a little deceiving. But never mind.
Listen,
Yeah.
the website doesn't know justice, but I think that's the whole point of this, and I'm glad you're making the correlation already. So check it out: over 3,000 reviews on TripAdvisor, and 93% of the guests rated it excellent or very good. And I share that with you, and it's not that appealing. It's like I said, it's a converted 2-story apartment from the 1950s. Canary yellow is the color. Andrea, I'm sure you like the color. Looks like you have a yellowish color on right now.
Right.
But here's the thing that they've done a really, really good job at. And it goes back to everything that we do here. And I was thinking about you guys, and I was thinking about your consumer journey. Listen, some of you might have tons and tons of years of experience. Jay is on here, Chris is on here. You might have tons and tons of experience. Well, some of you may not have the experience. You may not have the resources. You may not have all the tools. You may not have everything set in place. But what you have, and each of us have in us, is an ability to create an experience for the consumer. And this is what I really want you guys to start to unpack, and I want you to look at this. We've talked about the consumer journey in the past, but what I want you to do is I want you to look at that entire process of working with you and saying, what are the defining moments and what are the experiences that I'm creating for my consumers that are a cut above the rest of the competition? And here's the thing. You would think that a hotel like this, when you rival a Ritz-Carlton, when you rival some of the really fancy places in Hollywood, wouldn't even stand up or wouldn't even be able to compete. But here they are competing, and they always have, and they've always won in so many different categories. And here's why. A couple reasons why is, first off, they have a snack menu that you can get a list of goodies like Kit Kats, root beers, Cheetos at no cost. For the children, there's magicians at breakfast, unlimited laundry. And it's not that they just come get your laundry, you put it in a plastic bag and you write on one of those sheets of paper that are on the outside of the bag. No, they come and get your clothes, and then they hand deliver your clothes, wrap back up in butcher paper, closed up with twine, and a little nice message on top. And you just got to think about that small little experience. So those small things have really separated them. And then the one thing that has always defined them is that what the Magic Castle offers, and what they've figured out, to please consumers, you need to obsess over every detail. Let me say that one more time for the people in the back of the room. In order to please consumers, we need to obsess about every single detail. And I want you to unpack that, and I want you to look at it, and I want you to start grading yourself, and I want you to start breaking down your process from the moment you hop on a phone call. How did you make that person feel? What were the type of questions that elicited the type of responses that you truly, truly wanted from a consumer? When you did a showing, when you pulled up, were you flustered, or did you have something for them? Did they have a little nice notepad? You gave them a pen, and shucks, it was an actual branded pen, and they're walking around and that pen wrote very, very well. Like, ooh, I like this pen. I'm gonna put that in my pocket for later, right? What kind of experience was it? Were you prepared? Did you have all the answers? Did you have some cold water in your car because you know it's cold or hot out right now? Did you have some snacks for the kids? Did you get on show and 4 and you know that the kids are running crazy, but you got some snacks, you got some stuff in the car for them? How was your buyer's consultation? How connected did you feel with their journey, their process, their involvement, their emotional attachment to wanting to buy a home right now? How well do you address the emotional concerns that they have, the fears, the trepidation, the doubt, the uncertainty about the market? And am I making a good investment? Is this good for me and my family? Am I going to feel safe here in this neighborhood? How am I reviewing the disclosures, the reports, the escrow process? And how am I going through all of these things, making sure that that experience is an experience that's a cut above the rest? And listen, you don't have to have all the fancy tools. What you have to do is you have to make people feel a certain way. And that's why I wanted to share this with you. And the one thing, when interviewed, when asked tons and tons of questions about how people rated this hotel, this was the one thing that separated them amongst all of the things at all of the other resorts, is they have a fucking popsicle line. And I want to share this thought with you guys. They have a popsicle line. And what is the popsicle line? Well, what you do is you call, and they will bring you on a silver tray with white gloves. They'll bring you a flavor of either cherry, orange, or grape popsicles for free while your kids are hanging out at that pool. Now, do you think that the kids are going to remember that the place looked ugly and it was built in the 1950s and the rooms were meh, right? The rooms were not that cool. Do you think that your 7-year-old would remember calling the the popsicle hotline? Do you guys think they'll remember that? They'll remember that. So when they get home and they're writing a review about the place, how they checked in, that process, the white glove service, the laundry service, making sure that they were able to get any types of snacks, Kit Kats, root beers, Cheetos, whatever they wanted. But man, Dad, do you remember the popsicle hotline? Wasn't that so cool? So my question to you guys this morning, and obviously I'm excited. Like I said, I didn't give a shit who came today. I didn't care if it was me, Andrea, this morning. I was still going to run my route. Maybe I'll do this presentation later on, and I might do this presentation on stage one day because I think that there's some bones here. But what I want to ask all of you is, what's your popsicle hotline? What's your popsicle hotline? What is your defining moment throughout your presentation that says, wow, that is unlike anything that I ever experienced or thought I would experience? And I want you guys to unpack that. So my question to you guys this morning is, what is your popsicle hotline? And what separates your presentation from any other presentation out there? What separates your buying process, your investor presentation, your listing presentation, or you working with the consumer, helping them understand how to get their finances in order and the questions that you ask them, so on and so forth. What is your popsicle hotline? So I want to open the mic up to you guys. Put some thought into this morning. As always, I wanted to get you guys' thoughts, insight, contribution, because we have a very small group here. So who would like to raise their hand, share with me any thoughts, contributions, or tell me where your head is at based on what I just shared? Anybody want to share and contribute? And don't leave me hanging, please. Is that Jeff? Is that a contribution?
I'll speak up. So, one of the things that, I've been an originator for a long time, and it's not my main focus now. My main focus is supporting the team that I work with, and then of course recruiting. And I don't know if this is necessarily a popsicle hotline thing, but one thing I've taken from all of my years of origination that I know my current team knows about me and the money store, and that I talk to recruits about, and I explain to them, what working with me means for them, is I know how difficult their jobs are. I know how hard it is to get a realtor relationship and maintain that realtor relationship, to find a client, to get a pre-approval, to get it is, especially nowadays, it is such a difficult process. And I will do anything they need me to do in order to put them in front of more realtors and build more relationships, and or maintain that relationship with the realtor and with the client. I will, and honestly, I don't think I'm doing anything special, although I hear a lot, I talk to a lot of different people, and I don't think as many leaders out there do this, which blows my mind because it's easy. But just do everything in your power to make their jobs as easy as possible. Remove as many hurdles, and just, so that they can get to the finish line and look like heroes when they get there. And it's one of the things that, again, I appreciated when I was a loan officer and originating, when a manager did that for me. So I just want to double down on that as much as I can, and bring as much of that to the team I work with now. And then anybody that's coming on board, try to, explain to them how, maybe I am a little different than, their current manager.
I love this. And here's the thing. A leader can't say that in front of their team unless they're an embodiment of that, unless they truly, truly have done that. Because guess what? Their team member is going to be like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Right? But they're smiling. They're here. They agree. And I've seen you. I think that you're a heart-centered leader from what I've seen. But, back to this really quick, you guys, you have to really look at your presentation, and you have to say, what is my popsicle hotline? Now, I'm just dubbing at that. I think I'm going to use this for some time because I really like that they have this really cool popsicle hotline. But you have to look at it. Your phone calls, your showings, your buyer's consult, your review, disclosures and reports, your escrow process, and how you're taking the consumer through the entire buying process or selling process or investment process. You have to define this, and you have to say, what separates me from any other person that they could have called? Right from the moment they're within reach and their proximity to me, I create this level of business intimacy, and I connect not only personally in personal rapport, but at a high level of professional rapport, which are vastly different. So let's go to some hands that we have up right now. Let's go to Samantha Benz, and we'll go over to Jay. Samantha Benz, what's your thoughts, contributions on the conversation thus far? Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I love it. I think I'm still developing my popsicle hotline, but I had my first ever buyer's consultation from a client I met at an open house in Oakland, and I didn't think I was going to get anybody. But we had our buyer's consultation, and I took a minute to get to know her first and understand her story and her journey. So then I did the presentation, and she stopped me and she was like, well, you never told me your story. Why did you become a realtor? What was your life like? Da, da, da. And I told her I actually wasn't a realtor. Before this, I was a teacher. And I told her about my students and why I became a teacher and why I loved it, but also why I left, and the reality of life as an educator. And she actually said, hold on, stop 1 second. And she started crying, and she was like, I just thought about all my teachers that I loved. Oh my gosh. And I was not expecting that. Like I usually don't spend a lot of time talking about myself, but I was like, that was a light bulb moment where I could leverage that piece to build rapport and connection with people, just to humanize myself. And I think that doesn't happen a lot in this industry. You're not humanized, especially at open houses. People dodge you, they look at you with your business cards and they're like, oh, stop. But this was just like a huge breakthrough moment for me as a new agent.
Wow, you know what? I got some chills here. And when you guys speak, sometimes it would just speak directly to, you know, my core. What you said there is that you were able to truly get this person to understand how empathetic you were, and you created a space of vulnerability that allowed the consumer to open up. That's a skill. That's a skill because it's not about our values, right? Each of you, Vernon can say, I have a value of integrity. I have a value of resilience, whatever the value is. It's not about that. It's how does the consumer experience that value by working with you, right? And think about that. How does the consumer experience the value of integrity by working with Vernon, by working with Samantha? And I think that the client was able to experience your level of empathy, which allowed her to open up. And now what is created a bond. Now there's business intimacy. So well done. Great job. I love that share. Thank you for contributing. Let's go over to Jay and then we'll go over to Ashley, and feel free to get involved in this conversation. If you tapped in a little bit late and you need some context of what we're actually fucking talking about here, let me know and I'll fill you guys in. Let's go, Jay. Good to see you. Thanks for being on.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Just to piggyback on Elias and also Sam. So I think, when you're talking to consumers, nobody really wants to be sold into, right? So they like connecting with you personally and business-wise and seeing how professional you are. Um, I have a lot of stories where I think it's just making on the consultations, making the client feel like you care and feel like you're talking to them as a family. I have a lot of clients where they're not ready, but they like my presentation. They thought there's a lot of value in listening to me and talking to me. So even though they didn't work with me, I get like two referrals from their family and friends, and just talking to everyone as you care. And yeah, you don't know that they might have somebody that is ready, to buy or sell.
I think too, part of this, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? Part of this is cultural. I've never personally met a Filipino that didn't open up their doors, that were warm, that were caring, that when you talk with them, you felt like you were family, right? Because when you're talking with your auntie and your uncle or your mom or your father, you're going to treat them differently and you're going to walk them through and you're going to answer questions. If you apply that same type of connection and wanting to be there for your people, you're going to create that bond. And obviously it's working. Jay, talk us a little bit about your production over the last 2 years. How many homes have you and your partner sold?
So the last 2 years, as you know, last year was kind of tough, but last year we did about 20. We helped 20 families. This year, we've sold. We're at 15. We're working towards the goal 30. Actually, the goal is 40. The audacious goal is to help 60 families, but I think we'll hit the 40 this year.
That's right. I love it. I love it. They have 7 coming soons or active listings combined. So, if you are in the Peninsula area, Daly City, that area, that market, feel free to tap into Jay. He's actually one of our newest Team Fast members. Him and his mother are business partners. He's actually an expecting father as well. His wife is probably due within a month, right?
Next month.
Next month. So really good stuff. I appreciate your contribution. Let's go over to Ashley. Ashley's had a big smile on her face for about 7 minutes. So I'd love to hear from you, Ashley. And then Andrea, I want to come over to you because same smile. Let's go, Ash.
Good morning. Well, first off, congratulations on the new baby. And I have to say, Jeff did not lie. He is the most supportive leader I have ever worked for in my life. I'm so happy I'm never leaving. So with that said, my
recorded, by the way.
What'd you call it? Popsicle.
So this is recorded.
Yes, it's recorded. You can bring that back later. My popsicle hotline. So my goal when I talk to people is to make them feel safe and inspired. And because I have lived all over the map, I try to meet people where they are. So if they have a 400 credit score, I'm going to meet them where they are. I'm going to educate them on the things that affect your credit. If they don't have a savings plan and they've been trying really hard to save, but they've got everything else, I'm going to meet them where they are and share some books I've read and some saving strategies about paying yourself first. I try to share when I feel people are locking up. I try to share things I've gone through to make them feel safe so that they can understand that there's no way I'm the last person that's going to judge them, so that they're safe to open up, so that they will tell me where they're at, so that I can help guide them. From feedback that I've heard, a lot of lenders, not all, but a lot of lenders are like, okay, are you qualified? Are you not qualified? Great. Here's what you can do, here's what you can't do, and then drop it and go. I try to not be anything like that. I try to humanize myself and just be like, if I had just met you and now you're my new friend, what would I show you to do based on my own experience? And I feel like that is my popsicle hotline.
I love this. I absolutely love it. And I hope that this resonates. And like I said, we'll probably have this conversation another time because I think that it has definitely legs. But I wrote here, success hinges on consumer satisfaction. And when you think about this, we need to do better at investing in such moments, right? Because what happens is that we go, go, go. We get a lead. Oh my God, great. But we were talking yesterday, Vernon and I, and we have an agent on the team that's been here for a while, but she gets so caught up in the, oh my God, you want to go see a house? Let's go see a house. Perfect. You want to write an offer. And then he's like, hold on a second. There's a missing component there. When did you stop? When did you schedule the buyer's consultation? And when did you actually walk them through and create that space for them of education and advocacy and answering all of the questions, the fears, the doubts, the trepidations? Because the more that you can get in front of those conversations of what they're actually feeling, that's when you're going to get referrals from people that might not even get into contract with you. But they're like, if this person communicates this way and makes me feel so good and educated me, despite getting any monetary gain from the moment they started interacting with me, that's somebody I probably would like to refer to my friends and family. Right. And so really, really good stuff. Let's go, Andrea. Andrea, let's hear from you. Contributions, thoughts on this subject. I'll pull up my screen one more time because I want to make sure that this is here. So Andrea, let's hear from you. Thoughts, contributions on the subject.
Well, I haven't been here for a while, but I recently started as a new agent at EXP. I I have been trying to figure out kind of my popsicle hotline for the last couple of months. Really going to open houses, meeting other realtors, introducing myself as a new EXP agent, talking to people, looking at buyers, and trying to figure out where's my niche in there. And I have kind of a technical background and also a security-minded background, from physical to technical security, to product security. So I feel like my popsicle hotline can probably fit in that route. I kind of cater to those clientele, and then also I have a connection with, I think, elder and multi-family generation homes, because I have similar experience of trying to like merge maybe 3 generations under one home, for example. So something I have had to do recently, especially in this area, with aging up your parents, and then maybe your kids getting older but not being able to support themselves, or maybe your grandkids, or maybe your nieces, your nephews, right, your cousins. I see this happen a lot. So I think my popsicle hotline is really, what can I do best to service those communities? People that are tech workers that want to buy, that don't know how to buy, that have the money and maybe capital to get there, but don't think they do. How can I help a family that has 3 or 4 different income streams merge their money, to get into a home? And how can I position myself to be in front of those type of clients to attract them more than try to chase them? So I don't know. I'm rambling, but That's
No,
kind
no,
of
I
my
don't think you're,
thoughts.
I don't think you're rambling. What I think
Yeah.
is you're processing, right? And oftentimes when we speak it, we're able to process all the things that we're thinking about. And being in rooms like this, you can gain some insight and some clarity, because what I heard you say is that it's super important for you to be able to create a level of protection for your consumers. It's a protection on, fears and doubts, but also the unknowns about this industry. It is security to understand that you're working with somebody that will help you understand everything that you need to understand, so you're making a sound decision for you and for your family, right? Making sure that you have the distribution of funds that's in the right way, making sure that your family knows what happens after you leave this life, right? And so I think like it's rooted in protection and security. But once again, you go back to this question here, Andrea, that's a core value. How are your consumers going to experience those core values? And now you create an environment for them, and your marketing is always centered around people experiencing that value of being 100% protected, having a sense of security. How do you do that? I do that by A, B, and C, and then X, Y, and Z. And that's why my consumers refer me, or whatever the case is. But I think that you're onto something special there. So good stuff. I appreciate your contribution. All right, let's go. I'm going to go around the room. I want to hear from a few people. I'm going to go to Vernon. Vernon, if you were to look at some defining moments in the way that you make phone calls with consumers, and let's say that this is an initial call, a stranger, they've never spoke to Vernon Williams III, they don't know who you are. What is the defining moment, and how do you create an experience or a popsicle hotline moment on the moment that you get on the phone call with your people? Are there some core questions that you're asking? Is there, things that you're doing that are different? Explain and take us down that path. And I'm gonna go to a couple people on different subjects here. Let's go.
I like to tap into the relational aspect of the conversation when I'm getting to know someone for the first time. So probing questions just to get a clear insight on who they are, what their motivation is, what are their driving factors, what is that burning desire, and trying to learn how I can be of a resource to them, because oftentimes real estate purchase is the biggest purchase that someone's going to make in their entire lives, and who they work with in that purchase is extremely important. And people tend to work with whom they like, or who they have a connection to, or who they have experienced, had some type of empowering, inspiring experience. So for me, it's getting to know the individual and then adding nuggets of value, integrating that into the conversation, not trying to control the conversation or consume the conversation, but more so looking to extract information out of them so that I can identify a connecting point to establish the connectivity, and then be able to walk them through that process or that sequence that I've designed that has proven to close transactions, take it from an initial conversation to a closed transaction. So for me, it's not one thing in particular, because every human being on this call is different. And so being able to tap into their uniqueness and then take that baton and be able to provide some value. If I can establish a thread of trust in the initial conversation, if I can get a giggle, if I can get a reaction, if I can get yeah, I'm feeling you, if I can get some slang, if I can get a colloquialism out of the conversation, then I've won, because I can take that connection and then run with it through the entire process, because I know that my sequence and my process is built for success.
So here's a couple things to take away from what Vernon shared. Now, obviously, all humans are created differently. The way that we receive communication and the way that we have dialogue with other humans is different, right? Because we all come from different places and different backgrounds and different levels of or different styles of behavior. But what he does is he takes them through a similar sequence. Depending on who they are, it's fine. He's going to adjust in the moment, but he takes them through that process. And his goal is to be able to find some way to connect with this person, and that's his defining moment. And also, I want you guys to really listen to the way that Vernon speaks his words. When he's speaking, Brandy, what type of tone does he use when he's delivering his message? What type of tone do you hear when he speaks? Is it confident? Is it's precise? He's cutting, he's cutting through any of like bullshit and pretentiousness. Brandy, what do you hear when Vernon speaks in his tone?
I would say some confidence, but like a warm, welcoming confidence, not like this kind of like a humbled confidence that's inviting, not one that's like, I know what I'm talking about and you should only listen to me. Because I like when Vernon talks anyways, because I'm like, all right, this man knows something. Tell me more. Keep talking. I'm just gonna be quiet. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think it's an intelligent confidence. That's how I perceive it. And when he uses a word like colloquial, you're instantly thinking like, do I even know this word? And I'm going to go and I'm going to go and Google that word. But the point is that tone matters so much because that tone displays to somebody that you are protected, you are secure, you are with somebody that's going to help you take you through this process. I'm also going to tell you the things that you may not want to hear throughout our journey, right? But that creates this experience for a consumer because you got a lot of fucking yes people out there. Oh yeah, we'll go here, we'll go there, and never gives them a reality check. And then goes and shows 70 homes and writes 90 offers and like it just doesn't work out for them because they never were able to put somebody in their place in the nicest of ways. And I think that Vernon does that very poetically. So good stuff. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to showings. Chris B, when you do a showing, Chris B, what is a popsicle hotline moment for you? And if you've missed this call, came in a little bit late, you're gonna wanna go back and watch it because none of the popsicle hotline shit will land for you. But Chris B, when you're on showings, what is a defining moment? What is an experience that you create that is different? And share with us and let us in. What does that look like for you and Sophia?
Okay, for showings, we set expectations up front. We don't waste their time. We make sure they know that we're going to connect with a listing agent up front, know the exact situation, why the sellers are selling, if there's any offers on the table. If they even have a shot at it.
Let me pause you for a quick second. So before you even get to the showing, you've already told the consumer all of that's what you're going to do?
Correct. Because we don't want to waste their time. You don't want to show a house and like the status is wrong and they already have 6 offers on the table. I'm about respecting their time. So I let them know up front that we have this relationship. I'll respect your time. And we're going to see only properties that you really have a chance of attaining it. And they appreciate that. I do all the back end research from the buyer's consultation up front. You put everything up forth. You set expectations correctly. You have a system, a way of doing things that they automatically brings rapport. They respect you, and it makes it that much easier from the get-go to have a closed transaction, and they're not doubting who they're working with. So from that point on, you have it all set up. You do the route of the showings in an efficient manner through maps where you're not backtracking, all confused. You know what's going on. You just make it as smooth as possible. It's a tailor-made experience. I always have cold water for them. They hop into Tesla. They're happy. They're like, whoa, let's go. Just everything from front to from the beginning to end is just you just make it that experience that they don't forget. While you're bringing them around, you're asking questions, you're building rapport, you're connecting. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you got to listen 2 times more than you speak. That's just the way it is. And
you said something that really stood out to me, and sorry for interrupting you, this tailor-made experience. The fact that he can even articulate that means that he's created that, right? And it means he's conscious of that, right? And like I said in the beginning of this, like I want you guys to unpack and really start to rank yourself from every single part of your interaction with the consumer, from your phone calls, from the showings, from the buyer's consult, from the review, disclosure reports, escrow process, and everything in between. The fact that he said a tailor-made experience, by show of hands, how many people have ever gotten into an Uber anywhere? Please just raise your hand or give me an emoji on the screen. All right. How many of you have ever had a unique Uber experience? And Vernon, what made that unique? Stay there, Chris. I'm coming right back, man, because I want to make this full circle. What made that Uber experience so different?
Man, the ride, the vibe inside the vehicle, the cooled water sitting in the cup tray behind, the music that they're pumping when I get in there, the personality of the driver just made the experience memorable,
Yeah. Do you remember all of the other Uber rides? No. What you remember is you remember that popsicle experience, right?
Yeah.
I've gotten into an Uber before. The lining of the roof of the car was all lit up. There was water. The seat was, I was like, this is cool. And the guy was pumping some music, and it was just incredible experience. And I'll always remember that. All the other hundreds of rides that I've ever taken, I've never really, I don't remember those. So the fact that you said tailor-made experience, Chris, I love this. Is there anything other than the water, the experience, the communication? Do you give them anything physical for your showings?
Yeah, I do. If we have a bunch of showings, I always I have a clipboard and I print out a client showing report off the MLS, because in the bottom it has notes, and I let them know, here's a clipboard, here's a pen, here's the 4 listings we're seeing in the order we're going to see it. There's notes at the bottom, because you could be confused with seeing so many houses. I would like to take notes of the pluses and minuses of every house. That way, when we afterwards we sit down and talk, we know what order they go in, which ones they're interested in.
So powerful. And then to be able to sit there at the last house and be like, okay, let's go over some of your notes on the scale from 1 to 7. How would you rank that first house? Let's see their notes. And then now you're sharing. And now what you're doing is just getting down to exactly what's important to them in a home. Chris, this is really, really smart. This is a tailor-made experience. If you guys want help creating that tailor-made experience, Cloud CMA, you guys can print it all up. Now, not too many of the things because there's so much in there, but literally there's a client notes page in there. You can print out the showings and remove all the confidential remarks. It is, consumer facing details of the homes. You guys can make that experience an experience, like you said, a tailor-made experience for that consumer. So Chris, love it, my man. Really, really good stuff. I appreciate your contribution as always. Let's go over to, who else I got here? Let's go to Cortez. Cortez, you missed the first part of it, but it's okay. I think you get an idea of what we're doing. When you think about your buyer's consultation, what do you think separates your buyer's consultation? Why is that experience different working with you than any other realtor in the game? What's your buyer's consultation separation moment?
For me, my buyer's consultation, I think that over the years I've learned that, I'm just like super data. So it's just when you have the buyer's consultation, you feel confident moving forward with me that, man, this guy knows what he's doing. It's just a time to let them know how informed I am into real estate. So
when you look at a buyer's consultation, and let me just pull something up really quick so everyone can see. Hang tight, don't go too far. I'm going to pull this up. All right, so let me pull this up. When you're thinking about the buyer's consultation and sharing data, obviously greetings, salutations, and kind of an overview of what we're doing. Let me pull my screen up really quick. Let's go here, full screen. At what point, and let's just pull up somebody's buyer's consultation. I'll pull up Julie's. Let's go here. I'm going to pull up the buying process here. Boom. All right, say we're doing our offense and you guys are running your route via your buyer's consultation. Now, mind you, you might have a different buyer's consultation, but at what stage are you talking about the data and how it impacts their decision? Is it at offer time, or where are you inserting that?
Offer time, when we're home shopping. I tell them what we're going to do, how we're going to write the offer, what the process, from looking at the comparables to, just seeing, the comparables are just, that's when we talk about the data at that point.
Okay. All right, cool. So I love this. I love this. And here's the time where if you guys are on this page, you guys should instantly be going into your comps and saying, now, obviously, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, it is my responsibility to educate you and inform you everything that you need to know about what's happening in that local market where you wanted to write an offer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all the recent sales. I'm going to communicate with the listing agency what type of demand this house is getting, what the motivation of the seller is. And based on all that information, I'm going to bring all that data to you. And then we're going to make a decision on how we move forward based on the data. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to remove my opinion from that because my opinion doesn't matter. What matters the most is what the market is saying and what the market is dictating. Now, at the end of the day, I'm going to write the offer that you want me to write, but I'm also here to keep you very realistic because I want to write offers that get you into the home that you truly, truly want. Does that make sense, Mrs. Buyer? Wonderful. Let's move on. There has to be a sense of like, I'm sharing this information with you so we can look at it, unpack it, and say, that's where we need to come in based on the demand. based on the demand. So Cortez, absolutely love it. Good stuff. Let's go to one other person. If you were to say you're reviewing disclosures, reports from with your buyer, what separates your process of doing that with your consumer? Let's go to Demian. Is Demian still here? Demian's still here. When you're sitting down to review disclosures and reports with a consumer, what is a defining moment that makes the experience with you different than working with anybody else? How would you make that different, or how do you make that different?
I mean, honestly, just trying to make it plain to the consumer what could be a little intimidating, because they don't look at reports every day like we do, and they're not certain what to look for. So just impressing upon them that they can trust my take and my discernment of what's in those reports.
Man, Demian, the fact that you said just make those reports plain, how many of you have ever stayed up late reading disclosures or looking at HOA docs or going over historical documents or looking at the overflow addendum and be like, oh my God, look at all of these things, right? I think it's happened to all of us. So imagine you send that packet to a consumer and say, let me know if you have any questions. What? That's weak. Demian, exactly what Demian said is how you create a defining moment and how you create your popsicle hotline. Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, we're going to go through all the reports and the disclosures. And as stated when we were talking about our investigation contingency, I want to make sure that we look at all these reports, make sure that there's no red flags. And so what I've done is I'm going to pull those up on our screen, but I've also made a summary for you. The summary is going to identify any of the key points that you guys need to be aware of, also some consideration items. But instead of having you go through all these documents, I'm going to walk you through step by step, right? Like that to me separates you. And then you create the summary and you send that summary to them. Section 1 is 5,000. Sewer lateral is up to date until 2035. Sidewalk ordinance is in compliance. Here is the action items on the general home inspection. You need to do the copper pipes. You need to do the electrical and update it to GFCI. All those things that you summarize for them to make it, like Demian said, plain. This is plain. We got to make it very vanilla for them because we are the experts. The doctor doesn't come in and tell you how all the tendons work. They say, listen, you got a tendon, it's pinching here, it's impacting your neck. We need to release that, and here's how we're going to do it. We're going to put you through physical therapy for the next 4 weeks. I need you here every week at 4 o'clock. Good? Awesome. See you then. You fucking prescribed. You prescribed the pathway in a plain way, and I absolutely love how you shared that, Demian. Let's go, Vernon, and then we'll start to wrap sesh.
Just a quick point of emphasis, what Coach Elias was just sharing with us. That review happens face-to-face. That review doesn't happen on a phone call or via text message. It happens face-to-face because we really want to take advantage of as many points of contact as we can, right? So when we're reviewing those disclosures, not only do you summarize them, but you're getting face-to-face with your client, really emphasizing the more points of contact that we have with the client, the deeper we lock in that relationship, the higher our probability is that we're going to complete this transaction. So just a small point of emphasis, really focusing on the points of contact and getting face-to-face. So if your camera's not on right now, this may be a good time for you to practice getting face-to-face.
That's right. That's right. Yes. I appreciate that sentiment. Really look at this experience, because as we go into the new world and in August, as things start to change, we have to really start to look at the experience and the power of the moments that we're creating throughout this transaction, right? Imagine someone gets into contract with you and, oh my God, we got to submit our EMD today. And oh my God, that's $40,000. And there's like all this fear and like, oh my God, are we doing this? We're really doing this? Oh my God, that's a lot of money. And then that money leaves their account. If you've bought a home, you know what type of emotion you're going through. right? We know that they're feeling these ways. And the moment you could say, Tom and Mary, I know that it's a stressful time. You delivered them a nice little candle that's stress-free, you know, depending on your relationship with them, maybe it's a bottle of wine, right? It's like, you know that the stress that they're under, but it's like, I'm here for you, and you're going to be okay. But a lot of consumers are experiencing the same thing that you are, but I want you to focus on the long term of what you told me when we originally started speaking about your family and the security, how you never had anything like this, and why you're doing this for your family. But that's an experience, you guys. So the power of the moments through this, that's why I want you guys to dive into this book, The Power of Moments. It's a really, really good book to start looking at that. And what I want you to do after this call, here's an action item for you. Since it's Action Friday. I want you to go through your entire buying process, listing process, from the moment you start to interact with a consumer. Each of you have been on a recruiting call with me if you're on this team. The reason why I do all of the recruiting calls and Kenny does not, and he'll share this from his own words, is because I create a better experience. I have an ability to talk about the company in a way that Kenny does not. That's why he has me in this role, and that's why he doesn't do the recruiting appointments. I believe that I create an experience about how it's going to be once you're a part of our environment and our culture, and what that culture and that community means to you and to your growth, right? And that's something I feel I do really, really well. There was a time where I didn't, but I had to unpack, how do I make this better? Now that I've been on thousands and thousands of attraction calls, I've gotten a lot better at that. So you have to look at every single thing that you do from the moment you start to interact with a consumer and say, how can I make this experience better? And how can I create a popsicle hotline moment? And you guys, you're going to be hearing more of that from me. I think that I love this. I just came up with this morning, but remember that. Popsicle hotline. This hotel is an old hotel. It is a converted apartment complex from the 1950s. There is no glitz and glamour to this place. The consumer rating is so high, it's either excellent or very good, but the rooms aren't anything memorable. The decor isn't anything memorable. And goddamn, that color is pretty godly. But I'll tell you what, those kids will always remember the time they were sitting at the pool with mom and dad, and that lady came out with the white gloves on. Remember, Dad? And they brought us the orange popsicles, and we just hung out there in the sun. That's the moment that they will remember. So you don't have to have all the bells and whistles. You don't have to have all the resources. You don't have to have all the tech. What you have to have is a conscious mind about the experience that you're going to take the consumer through. You guys, that is everything I have for you today. I'm going to go around the room, just get a couple key takeaways from the people that are on the call today. Let's go to Cynthia Jackson. Cynthia Jackson, our resident Chicago shuffler. Let's hear from you. One key takeaway from our time together today.
The key takeaway today was to provide excellent customer service, to be connected and engaged with your consumer, and to make sure that they have the ultimate experience from start to finish, and that we are giving them, like, honestly, our best, like the best that we have to offer. When we show up, you show up, absent of your own stuff. Just show up for them and make sure that they have that experience, because from that experience they're going to make referrals and so forth and so on.
You guys, it's the small things that create the beautiful experience for the consumers. And it's the small things that make these beautiful experiences within our own life, right? In our own families, right? There's not a morning that I get out of bed that I don't kiss my wife good morning. She's sleeping, and I just tell her I love her. I thought that she didn't know, but that if I ever didn't, she would be like, you left the room and then you didn't say it, but you came back. So, but like the smallest of moments make us super connected. It's the smallest moments that create an experience within my own household. She loves that, right? And I committed to that in my vows. And I said, one of my vows is to never leave the room in the morning without giving you a kiss and saying, I love you. It's one of my vows, right? And so that's an experience for her. Right. And so I'm glad that you said that. Let's go over to Samantha. Samantha, one key takeaway from our time together today. And then Jacob, I'm going to have you close this out with your last key takeaway. Sam, thanks for being here. What's your take?
I was just wrapped up in that story you just shared, but I think just really tapping into my popsicle hotline and making that experience. And I used to do that all the time as a teacher, but now that I'm in this new role, it just looks a little different, but just really honing in on how to make that incredible, memorable experience from start to finish and tapping into my story and my empathy with clients.
Sam, for you, there is such a direct correlation when I think about, how the room is set up in the classroom. What are the visuals? What is that experience? What are the moments that we connect as a whole entire classroom? That is the same type of experience that you're going to take a consumer with. So like I said, your growth map always lies in your past. And we've had this conversation personally, you and I. There's such a direct correlation to what you've done in the classroom with what you will do in your new classroom with your sellers and buyers. So good stuff, Samantha. Let's go, Jacob Alley. Last contribution for the day, big dog. One key takeaway from our time together today. Let's go.
First off, this was one of the best sessions that I've heard. This was really, really deep. I think it's a good reminder just to stay creative and have an open mind. Just don't always go like, sometimes we just go on the same routine and do things generically, but put a little bit of yourself in there. Be creative, and then we can create a good experience for our consumers so they can feel connected to us and so they can want to work with us.
Totally. And we're more conscious of it. And when we say, you know what, I want to create defining moments throughout my presentation, the way that I email, the way that I follow up, the way that I walk them through, the way that I educate, the way that Chris brings the cold water, the Tesla, the clipboard, the notes, all these things create an enhanced consumer experience. And the moment you do that is the moment you separate yourself, because there's a lot of fools in this business that want to be the same. We don't conform. We throw conformity as far out the window as humanly possible, and we create an experience that is next level. Next level. That's what I want for each of you guys. So evaluate your own process from start to finish this weekend. Look at it and say, where can I enhance and where can I make this better for them? And when you make them the center of everything that you do and you remove yourself from it, that's when you create a space that is better than anything in the marketplace. So you guys, it was a small but mighty group today, and I really appreciate you guys being here. Like I said, whether it's 1, whether it's 100, I'm always going to come with as much energy, enthusiasm, and information as I possibly can, because I care that much about you guys. So have an amazing weekend. As always, keep it moving towards your dreams, goals, and vision. Peace.
Peace.